Hi, my name is Dr. Karen Baptiste. Everyone calls me Dr. K. I'm the CEO and founder of Preschool to Prison LLC. Growing up in the Bronx was rough, especially in the 80s where a lot of people were on drugs. I just remember just walking up and down the street and seeing a lot of crack vials on the sidewalk. And to me, that was normal, right? I thought every neighborhood looked like that. And you don't even know you're growing up in the hood because this is what you see every single day. And it was.
So I love the message of the story. What I love most is the narrative, is how the narrative is emphasized on childhood and them trying to sort of point to the root cause of all these sort of issues that come up in these lower socioeconomic communities. I like how this documentary focuses on the organization and how it turns the organization into a subject, even though there are many subjects in terms of talking heads. But the main focus is on the issue and what this particular organization is trying to solve. So I think that it's very personable and very honest and authentic.
Documentary really spoke to me, as most documentaries do when they're focused on my community, because it is just a concern that I have. Being a part of this community is something that I'm going to have to deal with when I'm raising my own children. And there's the noticing of a pattern of Black or Brown students being referred to special education, referral rate being extremely high within my community. And most are placed here not for cognitive, not for learning disabilities, but for behavioral issues. It just shows that there's a limited support in the school system with support staff. Like there's no school psychologist or social worker in some of these schools, and the police is the first option. I remember going to school, and my parents purposely didn't put me in the public school system. Growing up in Philadelphia, we were always in sort of a private or Catholic school system, just because of this whole prison to preschool to prison pipeline. All the rules that cause disciplinary action within my high school were all geared towards ethnicity. And it's just like, as long as we created an image or made ourselves look like our white counterparts, we were okay. We weren't disciplined. And the number of times I was disciplined as a child that had nothing to do with my grade point average, which was stellar, always at a 4.0. It always had to do with my earrings are too big, my hair is too wild, my attitude is too attitudey. And I just, realized that that has been the experience, my whole school experience. Always feel like my Blackness is being policed. What I did think was very interesting was breaking down the school day and just realizing how similar it is to a jail day. And even when I see some of the schools, they just look so much like prisons to me. It scares me, and it makes me think a lot about when I go into that next phase of my life, which is motherhood. What type of places am I putting my children in, which will be Black children?
Working in the school industry myself, I've seen firsthand and experienced firsthand uh, how the system has been working. And I think one of the biggest issues is the fact that there very much is a lack of training, a lack of support, lack of help. Uh, you're very much thrown into the wild and left to figure it out yourself. And the only time you are critiqued is when you yourself mess up. There are numerous schools that are essentially ill prepared to instruct and teach students to eventually prosper in their adult age. I've seen numerous students who have just accepted their role as that student, and it's always heartbreaking because uh, a lot of their behaviors come from the fact that I feel like there's very much a lack of positive reinforcement And it's very much, well, everyone has always given me this one title. I'm this person. This is who I am in this school. And so a lot of them lose that desire or that passion to achieve great things. Uh, it's a very heartbreaking thing to see.
A difficult piece to watch, but I don't think anyone could really combat this call to action when it is so clearly and logically laid out. A brilliant array of individuals, experts, and those on the ground trying to create some equity in a very inequitable system. It had a great focus drive in its pacing throughout the film, and I thought all the additional reports and visuals to really drive home the facts of highlighting the dire problem of children's needs in certain communities where they aren't being met by the school, and essentially just drives them to the next institution, which unfortunately is prison, that is run quite closely and entwined to the school system. It was heartbreaking. It was a heartbreaking one to watch, but never went emotionally overblown. There was no preciousness about this piece, yet the power of their facts and of their communication struck my heartstrings more than anything with a big cinematic score and overblown preciousness. Um, and just the factual atrocities were enough to drive me and want to make me learn more and to advocate for this.
It was really interesting what they said at one point where the one lady says, the system isn't broken, the system's doing what it's supposed to do. That just hit me in the face, and that fact needs to hit a lot more people in the face, I think. So I hope this really gets out there and gets seen. It's very important.
This piece is so emotionally profound with the statistics it brings us, as it tells us that 50,000 preschoolers, these are 3-year-olds that are being suspended, and 17,000 of them are being expelled, already creating this linear path of destination of destruction so that they can fall into a juvenile and eventually prison lifestyle. And it's kind of really showcasing the systemic oppressions that happen within our racial communities. You're watching, 6-year-olds be put in handcuffs, 6-year-olds, and it dives into these different ways of how we need to teach our schooling systems to be better, to build these acts of approaching these high intense emotional situations a little bit differently, to train the secretaries, lunch ladies, counselors to be a good support system to actually fight for these kids so that they don't fall into these matters. Really recognizing the humanity that exists within children, knowing and understanding that they might not be getting food at home and they might not be sleeping correctly, they might be getting abused. And we get this perspective of not only these children being put in these situations and news reportings of these situations, but we're seeing it from an adult perspective as well.
Really eye-opening and fascinating and inspiring in terms of the activism and work that needs to be done to change systems, and it's a must-watch for anyone.